So today I'm going to be talking about how to start a conversation with anyone. So every conversation that you failed to start actually had nothing to do with not knowing what to say. It failed because of the mindset you walked in with. Here's how to fix that and everything else that gets in the way. So most people actually enter every conversation like a guest trying to enter someone else's party. Will you like me? Is it okay if I'm here? That mindset is the problem. First of all, it broadcasts low social value before you even said a word. You're seeking validation from a stranger whose opinion of you have no basis to care about yet. This is already subcommunicating a history of low social status. The correct mindset is, of course, the opposite. You're the host. You have something, energy, a thought, a joke, a curiosity, and you're sharing it. You're inviting them to join your party. And the internal shift that takes place should be from, please accept me, to, hey, check this out. This simple change will restructure every single micro behavior that you transmit. Your posture, your tone, your eye contact, all of it reflects whichever mindset you're actually operating from. You cannot fake the host mindset. You have to genuinely adopt it. Before we address resistance in the moment, it's actually worth understanding first where it originates from, because most of it didn't start last week. When you were a little child, you were fully expressive. You said exactly what you thought. You were loud when you felt like being loud. You were silly, curious, intense, vulnerable, whatever you actually were, without calculating whether or not it was acceptable first. Then the feedback started. Don't be so loud. Don't be so sensitive. Don't show off. Don't talk to strangers. Don't take up so much space. Each time a part of your authentic expression got punished by a parent, a teacher, peer group, and your brain did the rational thing. It suppressed the part of you that was being criticized. It learned this version of me is not safe to show here. And of course, it buried it to protect you from further rejection. Problem is, those suppressed parts didn't disappear. They just went underground to the subconscious. And now they show up as the exact resistance you feel before you start a conversation. The contraction, the self-monitoring, the compulsive need to calculate whether you're acceptable before you've even opened your mouth. You're not afraid of the stranger in front of you. You're replaying a much older social calculation that, in the young child's mind, had much higher original stakes that your nervous system never got to solve. The path forward is not to override those suppressed parts with willpower. It's instead to reclaim them and reintegrate them, to locate the aspects of yourself that you learn to hide, maybe your humor, your directness, your sensitivity, your weirdness, and deliberately reintegrate them into how you operate. And this is what authentic self-expression and radical self-acceptance actually means. Not performing a confident version of yourself, but instead removing the layers of suppression until what's underneath can breathe again. Every part of you that you've hidden to avoid rejection is a part that, when reclaimed, makes you more whole, more magnetic, and more present, because presence and wholeness reads at the micro behavior level as someone who has nothing to hide, and someone who has nothing to hide reads as someone who has never needed to hide, subcommunicating a history of acceptance and high social status. That is the deepest root of genuine confidence, not technique, but reintegration and radical self-acceptance. So what should you do the moment you see someone you want to talk to? Well, in that moment, your brain will start working against you. It begins with constructing a story about who this person is, how they react, what the group dynamics are, why now isn't the right moment. None of this story is based on real information. It's just your brain pattern matching towards threat avoidance. The longer you wait, the worse these symptoms get, the more elaborate the story becomes, and the harder approaching that person gets. The right solution is actually mechanical. Walk towards them immediately before the story has time to fall. Move with intent. Direct line. No orbiting, no hovering, no waiting for the perfect moment that will never arrive. And a simple way to think about this is just to imagine it was your old friend on the other side of the room. Would you spend 2 minutes calculating the right approach angle? Of course you wouldn't. You just walk over. Apply that standard to everyone. Now, when you approach a stranger, from the first moment, their mind is going to be running one background question. Why is this person talking to me? Now, if you don't communicate the answer to that question clearly, they'll fill in the blank themselves. The default assumption is suspicion. People are wired to detect hidden agendas, and ambiguity reads as one. The fix is just simply to make your intention explicit immediately in whatever form is true. Maybe you just moved to the area and you want to meet new people. Maybe you have a specific reason connected to something you're working on. Whatever is actually true, just feel it in your body and don't hide it. It's not that you must state your intention with words, but your micro behaviors and body language should communicate the intention without trying to hide anything. Genuine intention, felt or stated directly, is disarming. It removes the background question and replaces suspicion with clarity. If your intention is real, stating it is a strength. If you can't state it, it tells you something about the mindset you're operating from. Now, a common reason I hear about why people don't want to start a conversation is that they don't know what to say first. They don't know what to use as an opener. This is a false problem. What you open with has no meaningful effect on the outcome of the interaction. What drives the outcome is your energy, your presence, and your authenticity, none of which are determined by your opening line. If the absence of an opener is stopping you, use a functional one. Hey, I'm Nathaniel. I don't know what to say, so I'm saying that. These work not because they're clever, clever, but because they get you past the threshold. The opener is simply a training wheel. Its only job is to get you moving. Once you're in the conversation, it's irrelevant. Stop looking for the perfect first line. There isn't one. There's only the conversation that you're not yet starting. And that's the deepest root of genuine confidence, not technique. Radical self-acceptance and reintegration of all of the parts of yourself that you've suppressed. What to do with resistance in the moment? Well, if I'm so anxious, I'm shaking, I can't breathe. Sometimes you feel it before you approach. A pull towards not going. A low energy, low confidence state tells you this won't go well. So most people either push through this stiffly or they let it stop them entirely. There's actually a third option that's far more effective than both, and that's to embrace it, to exaggerate it, and to laugh at it. Instead of fighting the feeling, acknowledge it fully. Exaggerate it to the point of absurdity. Take it so far it becomes ridiculous. When you genuinely laugh at it, it loses its grip. The emotional charge drains out of it. Then use it directly as your opener. I felt genuinely nervous coming over here, but here I am. Delivered with honesty and lightness, this is more compelling than any polished line because it demonstrates the most valuable and attractive thing in any social situation. And that's the willingness to be fully seen without defensiveness and without performance. It signals self-acceptance, and as a result, it signals value. This kind of approach also makes you practically invincible. Whatever state you're in, you can use it. High energy, low energy, confident, nervous. All of it becomes material. There's actually no bad state to be in, only states that you haven't yet owned.